10 tweets for speaking about social media. Hi everyone, welcome to our second podcast for Executive English entitled 10 Tweets for Speaking About Social Media. We are currently big into building out our social media presence, so it seemed like a really great time to share with you all the language that we've picked up since we started. Forgive us if this podcast ends up being a bit like a buzzword fest, but this is social media, and it seems to me that it can be a little bit overwhelming at times. Luckily, I have at my side my trusty sidekick, Greta Brunner. Not only is she head of client engagement here at EE, but she's also responsible for our social media. And it seems to me that she's far more comfortable with a tweet here and a blog post there than I am.
Oh, I don't know about that. You're pretty good at it for a silver surfer.
Hey, watch it. For the sake of our listeners, I would like to point out that I'm not a silver surfer, as Miss Brunner would have you think.
Excuse me?
I am not a senior citizen that uses the internet. Well, not yet, anyway. I'm Generation X, but Greta, you're Generation Y.
Yeah.
You're a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you a lot more tech savvy than me, doesn't it?
Yeah, but before I answer that, why don't we look at the vocabulary? Generation X were born before 1984. So yes, I'm certainly Generation Y, but we are also referred to as millennials. And you're right, millennials are considered to be more comfortable with using technology. And of course, that means also social media networks. We are more savvy, which is taken from the word savoir, meaning to know. So yeah, I would agree that we are more digitally native, or maybe just a little less frightened because we grew up with all these tools.
So Greta, as our social media tech savvy millennial whiz kid expert at EE, what would be your first tweet of advice?
Actually, I would say having the right vocabulary is the most important. So far, we have already covered off millennials, savvy, and digital natives. These are words we use to talk about the people that interact with the internet. But of course, they also interact on social media sites, and they can do it through posts, blogs, podcasts, sharing links, walls.
Okay, but I think each social media site kind of has its own language, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm right, on Facebook, you have a post and then you see stuff that your friends have put on and you say you like it or you unlike it. And you obviously put this stuff on their walls. On Twitter, you have a tweet with a max of 140 characters. And then if someone takes that tweet and shares it with someone else, then it's called retweeting. And we don't call the people on Twitter friends, they're followers, right?
Yeah, that's right. And the same with Instagrammers. We call them people on Instagram. They have followers as well. But actually, Twitter now has 280 characters per tweet, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but back to followers. LinkedIn is actually different. They have contacts that you connect with. And these are not friends or followers.
Oh, gosh. All right, that's helpful. So what's a hashtag?
Whose podcast is this? I feel like I'm being interviewed here.
All right, chill. Why don't you FUTAB?
What did you just say?
FUTAB is my new favourite acronym. Feet up and take a break. Yeah, this is internet cool, savvy, digital native Greta.
Right.
But actually, let me take over for a sec. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that a hashtag is a word or phrase that precedes or maybe starts with a hash sign. And it's used on social media websites and applications, especially Twitter, to identify messages on a specific topic. Like you might see hashtag Brexit or hashtag Munich Marathon. But I must say that it's now used a lot colloquial, like informally, because my girlfriends and I, we use it quite sarcastically. So I might say, today, all I've managed to do is get up, go to work, and go to bed. And my best friend Zena would say, hashtag get alive.
Yeah, that's right. And spammers, who are people that are trying to get as many followers as possible, they use hashtags to get people to click, even if they have no connection to the subject, like hashtag free shoes. And then it goes through to a carpet shop picture.
Oh, that would be disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can see that vocabulary is really important, but I've already impressed you with one of my acronyms, and this brings me to tweet 2, because acronyms are really important on social media. Particularly as you're limited to, 280 characters on Twitter. So, they're acronyms.
Yeah, exactly. What was the one you used earlier again?
FUTAB, feet up and take a break. I'm very impressed that you're asking me for advice here.
Yeah, I think the most common ones that we have used for years now are things like ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing, and TMI, too much information, or FYI, for your information, and OOTO, out of the office, for you business people. But the latest ones that you need to know are AMA, which means Ask Me Anything, and that one comes from Reddit, where the community can ask someone any question they want and they will answer. FB is used for Facebook, BRB means be right back, and AFAIK, as far as I know.
One of the ones that I'm using a lot right now is FTW, which means for the win. Yeah, it shows excitement, and I'm using it quite a lot in the corporate text stuff I'm doing as well. But again, it can be used sarcastically. Like I could fall over and say, I fell over and tripped over my shoe and hit my nose. And your friend might answer, FTW.
Yeah.
So, that's a good one. GTR is one of my faves, got to run. And my favourite one at the moment is IANAL. I'm not a lawyer.
I've not heard that one yet. By the way, a lawyer is someone that represents you in a legal case. And these days, everyone could use a lawyer, I think. We're not lawyers, are we, Beth?
No, we're definitely not lawyers. No. We're English language experts.
That's right.
Which actually brings me to tweet 3 because it's grammar related. Greta, if I shout out some verbs that we need when we talk about social media, could you do me a favour and give me the correct preposition?
I'll do my best.
Okay, so integrate.
Integrate with.
Yeah, to integrate your site with social media. Embed.
Into.
That's right, to embed your social media icons into your website. Upload.
To upload a map to your website.
To link.
To link to a site, but we link through to the information on another site.
Okay, yeah. And to download?
From. We download the press release from the website.
And to post?
To post on someone's FB wall.
Okay, and to share?
No, I think that one depends. To share information on something, and we share information with our friends on FB.
Good point, yeah.
But this could be a good stage to come to tweet number 4, because how we talk about social media does depend a little on whether we are using it in a B2C, business to consumer, or in a private context. For example, you would say share your photos with your friends when you talk about your holiday photos privately. But in a corporate arena, companies might say to circulate, or to distribute, or to publish images.
Oh, that's a super good point. And actually, there's quite a lot of examples of corporate language when it comes to social media. In business, we say to reach the audience or the target group.
Yeah, meaning to grow our number of contacts or followers.
Yeah, and we attract an audience.
Correct, yeah. Attract or appeal to an audience means to try and engage with them.
That's another great word, to engage, meaning to excite or to get someone interested in a brand.
Yeah. Then we try and engage followers in a dialogue.
That's right. That's when we try and get consumers to publish opinions or write about their experience of using a product or service. And companies often talk about building a social media presence, which means that they do not have a company profile on social media sites and they want to start one so that they can begin to attract more followers.
Another one that is more common is to go viral. If a campaign for a business goes viral, it means that it spreads around on the websites so quickly that in seconds they have millions of views. And this one's super common.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Do you remember Fenton the Dog? That was a classic one. And what was the other one? That song? Dum Style. Dum. What was it?
Gangnam Style.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And you know what I read the other day? That song was 5 years in YouTube as the most watched video.
What?
5 years. At the beginning of 2017, it dropped off the list.
Wild.
Yeah. So Greta, what would be your tweet number 5?
I think our listeners also need to know about the important nouns for the people interacting on social media with one another, like influencers, for example.
What is an influencer?
An influencer is an individual who has the power to affect purchase decisions of others because of his or her authority, knowledge, position, or relationship with his or her audience. They are usually in a particular niche which they actively engage with. And the size of the following depends on the size of the niche. But Beth, you should know that these individuals are not simply marketing tools, but rather social relationship assets with which brands can collaborate to achieve their marketing objectives.
Aha, very nicely said. So what's a grassroots activist?
Why don't you tell me?
Oh, God. Well, I think this is the people that create, I think we call it groundswell.
Yeah.
And these are when people come together and it's bottom up. For example, there's a grassroots movement at the moment to get Uber banned because it exploits cheap labour. There was a grassroots movement in the UK recently to choose the name for the fifth in line to the British throne.
Oh, yeah, I did read about that one.
Yeah, Kate and Will ignored it, of course. They went for Louis. But that's a nice name.
Yeah, I think that one's cute. I'm a liker of that. Which is, by the way, also a social media language. Likers and haters. A hater is someone who voices negative opinions about other people. It might be inspired by jealousy or boredom. The advice is usually to just, ignore them.
Okay, all right. I think most of our listeners know what bloggers are, but what are vloggers?
Vloggers use videos to blog, and that's seriously popular at the moment.
And you know those funny pictures with text on them? Those are memes. They're a fun way to make people laugh and often end up going viral.
We should create a meme for Executive English.
That's a very nice idea. I'm just trying to think what we'd do. Did you ever see, I don't know if it's probably before your time, but on By and Dry, there was that great, what was it called, that series, Frenglish mit Loda. Yeah, and they had that again what learned phrase. We could use that.
Yeah, we could put different images of our clients learning highly specialized words in English, and they could hold up posters, and we could use the slogan, again, what learned with EE underneath.
That's really cool. And you know what? I can impress you with my social media language, because that's kind of a mashup.
What's a mashup?
Well, a mashup is when you bring together two ideas and you kind of merge them to create something new, like our idea for our meme. But actually, it's really popular on social media for nameage, like Snapchat. They've taken the word snap, meaning a photo, and they've put it with the word chat to create a new word, or a mashup, Snapchat. Which leads us into a conversation about tweet number 6, which is everybody needs to know their platforms.
Yeah, Snapchat is really big with the teenies. One of the principal concepts of Snapchat is that the pictures and messages are only available for a short time before they become inaccessible.
I really don't get that.
Well, there's one that I know that you do use, WhatsApp. It's not a social media site. Instead, it's a social media messenger. The application allows the sending of text messages and voice calls, as well as video calls, images, and other media documents and user location. It's the third biggest in the world.
Ah, is it? So what? Facebook and YouTube are number 1 and 2, are they?
Yeah, that's right. Facebook Messenger is number 4 and Instagram is 6.
And what do you do on Instagram?
Yeah, that's basically sharing photos.
So it's like Pinterest?
Oh, it's a bit different. Pinterest allows you to pin photos that you find on the internet and put them in a folder or on a pin board that others can see. With Instagram, you just share photos with your followers directly. It's a great sales channel as well. A lot of people buy clothes and products through Instagram.
Okay. And what's, Tumblr? What is it,
Tumblr.
What's that?
Tumblr is a microblogging site and social media networking site. Basically, the service allows the users to post multimedia and other content to short-form blog. Micro meaning small and blog. Users can follow other users' blogs.
So it's an Instagram for words.
Yeah, basically. I never really thought about that. But you referred to Reddit before. Could you tell me what that is?
Yeah, Reddit, my husband loves it. It's actually quite cool. So it features like breaking news and there's lots of chat areas built around interests. And there's this section called Explain Like I'm 5, which makes complex things simple.
Yeah. Could you explain executive English like I'm 5?
All right. Executive English is like a playground for mummies and daddies that want to learn English. They have the football and we help them kick it better so that they can speak better English and their boss won't take their jobs away.
Nice. Very nice. So what's tweet number 7 then?
Well, I think we need to tell our listeners a little bit about the technology of social media.
Like RSS feed, for example.
Yeah, what's that?
It stands for Really Simple Syndication and is a type of web feed which allows users to access updates to online content in standardized computer-readable format. These feeds can, for example, allow a user to keep track of many different websites in a single news aggregator, which means that whenever there is an update on their favorite site, they are notified or told about it.
That's cool. And there's a big rise now in social media management software, which is the software that automates the updating of social media sites for companies. It also tracks followers and shares information across sites.
Yeah, that one's a biggie. Instant messaging was obviously a great breakthrough for Facebook and WhatsApp. And of course, facial recognition was a big hit as well. Facebook uses it to keep profile of what your face looks like. And when unknown users are tagged in a photo, Facebook is able to suggest who they might be.
That's spooky.
I know.
But you can turn it off, right? I think you don't have to use it. But on the subject of spooky, what about Cambridge Analytica? I mean, that's a very, very interesting story. They basically were running software that Facebook ran to manipulate people into voting for Brexit and Trump. And what they did is they, I suppose you'd say, harvested, which means take and use people's profiles, and they built algorithms to exploit people's motivations and perceptions. I mean, I actually read, Greta, that they only needed something like 20 activities before they could tell whether or not you were a Trump voter or not. So stuff like who I like or what I post or what sites I visit and what friends I have, all of that goes into this algorithm, and then they know, do I vote for Trump? What sexuality do I have? All of that stuff.
Oh, God. Good thing that they've been shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I do think this is a natural development in software as AI becomes more embedded in our day-to-day internet tools. I mean, obviously this story is clearly negative, but I think in the future we're going to read so many exciting, cool stories about machines that are able to read what we think and feel. I think it's quite cool.
Not cool for you as an English national living in Germany.
Yeah, and not cool for you as an American with a fake news king as a president.
All right, yeah, okay, fair point.
Well, let's move on to point number 8 then, or tweet number 8.
Well, I think you can't talk about social media without talking about advertising. At the end of the day, it's free for everyone to set up an FB account. So how are these guys making their money? Advertising fees. Social media advertising or social media targeting are advertisements served to users on social media platforms. Social networks utilize user information to serve highly relevant advertisements based on interactions within a specific platform. In many instances, when target market aligns with the user demographics of a social platform, social advertising can provide huge increases in conversions.
Okay, so let's help our listeners just break down some of the vocabulary there. What's a demographic?
That's a group from society, like millennials or housewives or sporty people aged 40.
And what does relevant mean?
Yeah, that one's a huge word at the moment. Relevant for audience or customer means you only show them or give them what they want. You are of interest. Your business is relevant.
And what are conversions?
Conversions are when someone buys something or responds to a link. In other words, the investment that the advertiser makes pays off. The target converts.
I see. And what does it mean to align to a user demographic?
To align means that FB provide the advertiser with all the information that they have that might interest the advertiser. So maybe if you sell expensive soap, you ask Facebook to give you a list of females aged 30 to 50 who have responded to advertising to beauty products. If Facebook have this information, then all those profiles are aligned to the advertiser's search criteria. Facebook have had to update all their data protection information to inform users that they do this. But the thing is, users don't really care. And I have to admit I'm one of them. The benefit of connecting to such a large group of friends are higher than the negatives, or what we call drawbacks, which is having their data shared with third parties.
So let's make tweet 9 then about data protection, because in Europe at the moment, the information we hold about our users is going to be regulated more closely. And this is called GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulation. So now in Europe, at least companies are having to be a lot more careful about telling their customers or users what their privacy policy is and how their data is shared.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. Some of the elements are really cool. Like, for example, now they have to be able to prove that they can't associate an IP address with an email address. But of course, for marketeers, that's really challenging because they are losing a large part of their insight into consumer behavior.
But if I'm right, aren't a lot of social media sites just going to get us all to opt in for this, and then they're going to carry on doing it anyway?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the good news for companies is that as long as we all opt in to these changes, then things will just carry on as normal.
But there's a pretty big fine if you get it wrong, or as we say in English, don't comply.
Yeah, you're right. I read 20 million euros or 4% of turnover if it's higher. It's harsh, right?
Yeah, real harsh. But let's spin this around to something less corporate. How can our listeners learn English through social media again?
Oh, that's a really great way of ending. Yeah, tweet 10. Use social media to your advantage. I've got loads of tips here. Have you?
Yeah, sure.
Let's list them. I'll start.
Okay.
Number 1, I would say change your settings in Facebook and set the language to English.
Number 2, like Facebook pages that have great English content like BuzzFeed or The Guardian for news.
Number 3, follow a Twitter group that is interested in learning English. There are so many cool and useful exchanges to be found out there.
Number 4, follow news on Twitter. Make sure it's a theme that you are interested in, and that way you'll be sure to read it.
Number 5, update your LinkedIn profile. Try and hit 100% completed because you will learn a lot of English as you go.
Number 6, start a microblog in English on Tumblr.
Glad you said that one. I can't say that word. Number 7, follow global companies you are interested in on LinkedIn. Their posts and updates are all in English.
Hey Beth, we've done it again. I think we've given our listeners 10 really great tweets for talking about social media, don't you think?
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Let's wind this down, Greta, I'd say.
Okay.
DFTBA. Oh, that's a good one, you see. DFTBA. Don't forget to be awesome!